Welcome to this Dealer's Edge webinar titled Social Media, Tips, Options, and Suggestions for Managing Your Dealership's Program. This workshop is being presented by Alexi Veneri, Chief Operating Officer for Digital Airstrike. Alexi's contact information is in your handouts in case you need to contact her after today's workshop. And Alexi's biography is at www.dealersedge.com. Alexi will be joined today by dealership owner Adam Sims of Toyota Sunnyvale. I'm Mike Bowers, Executive Editor of Dealer's Edge. Before we get too far into today's program, if you haven't already done so, please print out the handouts. Those of you who signed up late can download the handouts by clicking on the link that you'll soon see in the chat box to the right of your screen. Print the pages in black and white or grayscale and 2 or 3 slides to the page so you don't use up too much paper or toner. I'd also like to offer a special welcome to members of our partnering dealer associations and to the members of the Dealer's Edge Season Ticket Program. Members of the 23 partnering state and metro dealer associations and employees of the dealerships that have joined the Season Ticket Program receive special discounts on all Dealer's Edge programs and products. So if your dealership or association is not participating, or if you're not sure, send an email to Jim Muntz, jim@dealersedge.com, and he'll get you some more information. We are recording today's workshop, and the contact person from each registered site will receive instructions for downloading the recording early tomorrow morning. To get more out of today's workshop, this is important, ask questions. Alexi knows today's subject inside and out, but she can't know everything that is on your mind. So if you need a clarification or have a question on a specific topic, use the chat feature on your toolbar, send it to me, and I'll ask the question for you. You should also watch the presentations in full screen mode. We have a lot of material to cover today and a relatively short time in which to do it, so we'll be moving quickly through the material. Be sure to take plenty of notes. And I can't emphasize this enough, this is your chance to ask questions of an expert. Now for today's program. There was a report that came out during the NADA convention this week that said something like 71% of car shoppers find information through traditional media like newspapers, TV, and radio. But that means 29% of car shoppers don't use traditional media. And that's a big number. So where do the other 29% go? Well, they talk to their friends and they use social media that we hear so much about. With that in mind, and also knowing that people form their opinions about which brands they like while they're in their 20s and 30s, Dealer's Edge has previously presented a series of workshops on how to manage your dealership's search engine optimization, search engine marketing, online reputation management, and social media efforts. And the typical response to those workshops is, you know, it sounds good, but that's a lot to keep track of. Who's going to do it for me? The answers, of course, vary from dealership to dealership. And until now, we've tried to limit our SEM and social media programs to the do-it-yourself ideas. But it's pretty obvious that not everything fits the do-it-yourself model, and not every dealership wants to do it themselves. So today we're going to come at the topic a little differently. Today we'll try to break down the tasks into those that you can definitely do yourself, those that you can do partly on your own but need some outside assistance, and those elements that will probably require extensive expert help. We're also going to hear from the owner of a very successful Toyota store in California about how he and his staff have decided to tackle these issues. And that's enough for me. Let's turn things over now to Alexi Veneri of Digital Airstrike. Alexi?
Thanks, Mike. Welcome, everybody, to today's session. I really appreciate it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break down really 10 tips in terms of areas that are a good place to start and to focus with your social media plan and your reputation management strategy. And after each tip, I'm going to give you some options, and we can discuss some different ways you can execute each one of the strategies, both internally as well as externally if you're going to outsource and partner with a company. And then I'm going to turn it over to Adam Sims, and he will give his perspective on how he approached this at his dealership, Toyota Sunnyvale. The first tip we have is knowing what is out there. We do work with many dealers across the country, and they're usually pretty surprised when we first do an audit and tell them exactly what consumers, prospects can find about your dealership online. So that's the first place you should start. It could be something as basic as employees setting up their own Facebook and Twitter pages and using your name. It could be an employee or vendor that set up accounts and maybe got you banned from using them. It could be employees on a daily basis posting things that are inappropriate about your dealership, and it could just be pages that you thought are set up correctly, but maybe they aren't. So a couple examples here that I'll cover. Certainly do welcome questions, and then I'll talk about the different ways you can kind of tackle this first tip. In one example, and we do have Adam on the line, when we first started working with Toyota Sunnyvale, he was not aware of the dealership actually having an authorized, sanctioned Facebook page. And we happened to find an employee that had gone ahead and set up a page under his own name. But if you notice, he took the Toyota Sunnyvale name and actually named his entire page Toyota Sunnyvale and then his title. He was spending a lot of time posting things that were maybe not the best use of his time. And if you can see, he only had 21 people actually following him. Most were probably a few friends or fellow colleagues. So aside from the fact that this probably wasn't the best way to represent one of the top 10 e-dealers in the country in terms of a Facebook presence, it certainly wasn't the best use of this employee's time. We've also looked into things where employees have just misused pages and sites like Twitter, maybe unintentionally. This Twitter page, this dealership was banned from using Twitter because the person that was doing the uploading and the tweets at the dealership was posting a lot of inventory, and they were flagged as a spammer by people on Twitter, other Twitter users. And that's a problem because if you've actually gone ahead and set up a Twitter page under your dealership's name and you get banned, you're no longer going to be able to use your actual dealership name in conjunction with the Twitter website, which can have a really big SEO impact for you. This other example, and believe it or not, we find this more often than you'd think. When we've worked with dealerships in the past and done a search to see what's being said about them online, aside from things you guys would expect, such as reviews, good and bad, and some of the pages may be set up incorrectly, we've actually found employees tweeting about their day, saying how much they maybe don't like their job, and maybe just saying some inappropriate things online. And again, this is all publicly available and searchable by your potential prospects and customers. So first of all, you got to know what's out there. So a quick way that you can do this is you can certainly go to the search engines. The top 4 search engines would be Google, Bing, Yahoo, and AOL. That's where I would start if you wanted to do this yourself. Search for your name, search for different varieties of your name, and then you can also go to the actual top social media sites such as Facebook and Twitter, even YouTube, and do an individual search. Because the search engines themselves all have different algorithms and they won't catch everything. There's other ways to do searches. You can contract with a company that will do an audit for you, but basically if you're going to do this on your own, just do a search. Think like a consumer and type in your name of your dealership and any variations. Another trick if you're searching for reviews is you can type in your dealership's name and the word reviews right after that and see what comes up. So definitely you've got to be on top of this, and don't just check it once. You want to check it frequently if you're not working with an outside provider, because you've got to be on top of what's being said about you. The next tip we have is you want to go ahead and secure the top social sites. And these are the sites that are social media networks as well as review sites. The sites where consumers are going to go that are very highly ranked in terms of SEO as well as just general number of visitors to the sites. The reason why you want to do this is twofold. You obviously want to be on these pages because it's basically like getting free advertising. The majority of these sites do not have a fee for a business to secure their name on the sites. And you need to secure your name before someone else does. So it's definitely a free-for-all out there. If you've not gone out to the top social media sites and secured your name, you want to do that. So it's a competitive play. It's a defensive move so that you definitely at least secure your own name. The other reason why you want to basically link your dealership's name to these top social sites is it's going to help you dominate the first page of search. Here's a quick case study on another dealership. It's Toyota Marin. Before setting up their Facebook pages, Twitter, YouTube, etc., when you would search for their name, you would see sponsored links under their search engine marketing, the paid links. That's the first one at the top. So this dealership was paying every time somebody clicked on that first link that says Save at Toyota Marin. Then they had a competing dealership buying the name, and then right below it, they obviously had a couple problems. These are the organic listings. So the first listing was actually a site that a consumer set up, secured that domain, and this is obviously the worst example of a negative review. This actually goes back a couple years, believe it or not. And what happens over time is that if there aren't any other sites that are clicked more frequently or have more traffic, sites that have been around for a while, even old reviews, can end up at the top of the organic search results. They also had a competitor popping up. They did have a review on there, but it wasn't necessarily a good review site they were controlling. You can see it's Car Dealer Check. And this dealership, as an example, maybe had some really great reviews on Yelp or DealerRater, but they weren't showing up ahead of this site. And then, again, that you've got another competitor popping up. So that's actually a lead provider. So they had a lot of stuff showing up on the first page of search on the top search engine that they were not controlling. And this is, again, another reason that you're going to want to secure these top social sites. They get a ton of traffic, and to link your dealership's name to them and then actually manage the page will help you dominate the first page of search.
Excuse me, Alexi, could I break in a second?
Absolutely.
When you see this, because this would, if I owned Toyota Marin, I'd be alarmed when I saw this. Is there anything that the dealership can do at this point to drive those negative reviews, or the people that are that have just used variations of Marin to try to get a higher ranking? Is there something that they can do to get rid of them?
Yes, this is actually the after slide. So thank you for that lead-in. So it doesn't happen overnight. It does take some time. But what happens is that as you secure the other social media sites, you want to make sure you link them back to your main dealership website. So this is after about 6 months. Toyota Marin, this is what it looks like today. So what happens is when you punch in Toyota Marin, because they now have control over YouTube, they've got a Twitter page. 8 months ago they didn't have a Twitter page, and now it's showing up on the first page of search. So you want to go out there and get those social media sites secured in your name, and then you want to make sure there's a link so people can link from them to your main dealership website. That, in essence, ties the highly trafficked social media network sites to your main dealership website. And you'll see in this example that it caused ToyotaMarin.com to rise to the top of the organic search engine rankings. And you'll also notice there are 2 review sites with positive reviews showing up on the first page of search in this example. The reason why those have now risen to the top, so to speak, is because in this case the dealership has reposted and repopulated and really marketed these positive reviews. So the more people that click on these reviews that are positive and these social media sites that the dealership controls, it's going to help them rise to the top of the search engine rankings. Now, a couple ways to execute it. You could hire someone internally to do this for you. I would say the biggest tip if you're going to have somebody in your dealership do this for you is that you have a backup. You have somebody else trained. You have a list of the logins